Here in the top left position, we've got SKT1 Rain. As already said, he's one of the most successful Kespa switchovers to StarCraft 2 thus far. He is super impressive in everything he does. I'm a fan, and he is definitely looking like one of the top favorites of this tournament. Going up against Nilon here, who isn't quite as known, and as you said, endangered species Terran here. He's gonna have a tough job. This is the guy who went narrow 2-3 against MVP, had one other loss against Terran in GSL, against I Am Happy, but took down a whole slew of pro Terrans. He took down last 4-3 in OSL. He took down...
that was an epic. That was an epic match, man.
Took down Teja 2-0. He took down Björn. This guy is so good, and well, let's see if Nilon will be added to another notch on his belt, or if perhaps it could be the biggest upset of the round one upper bracket matches thus far.
This undoubtedly would be one of the biggest upsets, but don't count Nilon out. He's actually he is a pretty strong Terran player himself, but like we said, he doesn't just have to be pretty strong. He needs to be on the kind of caliber that MVP is on to stand a realistic chance here of beating Rain. That's not to say it's not possible, of course, but my goodness, is he going to have a tremendous battle on his hands. Good start, though, managing to pick off the scouting probe after walling it in. So let's see where he goes from here, as the command center immediately gets put down at the natural expansion.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to see Rain opening up with Zealot Stalker here. If you want to choose one of the builds that is the most solid against Terran players, it's to open up with a Zealot, then a Stalker, expand, get another Stalker, and then get your first Sentry, and going up to a total of 3 gateways and then a Robo. That is just so solid, and it can work against literally everything.
That's right, it's a little bit more important as well as a Protoss to get, especially like you mentioned, that second Stalker. Just a little bit more useful against the ranged units earlier on in the game. Zealots, of course, more useful against Zerg when you have the Zerglings moving about. But when you have Marines that can start kiting and stuff like that, it's really useful to have those Stalkers and Sentries out on the field a little bit earlier than you otherwise would.
Yeah, and I mean, you see there's enough gas to have made a Sentry instead of a Stalker, and it's something that some Protosses have been doing. But actually getting the third unit to be a Sentry is sometimes a bit of an Achilles heel when your opponent chooses to do a quick 6 to 8 Marine attack. That Sentry isn't nearly as useful in kiting as a Stalker could be. So Rain, very smart here, because he doesn't know a lot about his opponent. I'm pretty sure that he hasn't studied Nilon at all, because there just isn't that much to study. It's very normal that he would be going for a safe build, and I'm pleased to see that.
Well, second gas going down, second and third gateways and a robotics facility. It doesn't get more bread and butter than this. We have got 2 more barracks already added, and of course the gases were taken in the main base. Stim now starting for a Nilon, so nothing too out of the ordinary there, out of that tech lab. And in the meantime, we have the Nexus about to complete for Rain.
Yeah, Nexus about to complete. We've got 1 Sentry, 2 Stalkers, and a Zealot out. And the Robo is under construction, which would create an Observer more than enough in time to be able to deal with Cloaked Banshees.
Yeah.
Even if this was a fake expansion. Now, of course, Rain did already... Oh, Rain did not get confirmation that this is an expansion build yet.
That's actually a really good point. No doubt he'll be... Well, the thing is, if it wasn't an expansion build, he might have been expecting some units to at least attempt to venture out into the middle of the map right now. And holding that watchtower at that aggressive location near Nilon's base will at least give him a pretty good hint that nothing else is coming back. And patrolling that Stalker on the left of the map as well, just confirming that Nilon isn't trying to sneak some units past anywhere else on the map. So if your opponent's going to be playing this passive, maybe he's assumed that the expansion's gone down, as Rain going for quick Colossi by the looks of things.
Yep, getting a very quick Robo Bay. Now this could be something like 1 macro Colossus going into other stuff, going into Double Forge, Twilight, Templar Tech and so forth. And it's good to get the Robo Bay very early for that. However, if he decides that the conditions are right, and he sees with the Observer that upon scouting the opponent's base, it would make sense to make more than 1 Colossus, we could be seeing some timings here.
Well, it certainly, I don't believe it'll be an attack with the first Colossus, because at the end of the day, it's always a little bit difficult attacking into a Terran when they have stim, when you only have one Colossus, because you always run the risk of someone stimming and picking off the Colossus and then running away. That's not something ideally you want to have in that sort of scenario. So, like you mentioned, could be a macro Colossus, and for those of you wondering, what are you talking about macro Colossus? Can they mine faster than mules or something? It's just to make sure you have the space and the breathing room so that you can continue teching and macroing up behind it. And also, if you're lucky, if you decide to go into some sort of other tech route as well, making your Terran opponent overcommit to Vikings when you have that first Colossus out, also really frustrating for a Terran player.
Yeah, very well said there, Jorosar. That's definitely true. It is in fact a bit of a weird term, macro Colossus, but that's exactly what it entails. Now Nilon is moving out with his Marines here. The first two Medivacs will be joining momentarily. Notice how few Marauders made Nilon, an exact amount of 0. It's just Marines and Medivacs, and there's going to be a time here where if he can get some coverage on the opponent's units, Stim Marines could just take out a lot of stuff.
Timing's a little bit off here, though. I have to say, Combat Shield's going to finish a lot sooner than... Oh, nice force fields picking off a couple of the Marines there. If we take a quick look, the +1 attack is actually going to finish for Nilon a lot later than Combat Shields is going to finish. So I wonder if he was attempting to line that up, but it looks like he's just going to be converting this particular push into a double drop.
Yeah, gonna go for the double drop. Flew through an observer vision there. Maybe if Rain is lucky, he gets to see it for a second time, just to get confirmations that the Medivacs are still en route. Yes, they are, and he's totally ready for this. Actually, he's moving out with his Colossus here, but he's got all his Stalkers in his main base, and he's gonna use this opportunity because he knows he'll be able to defend this without problems to move out with his Colossus on the map.
Oh, what a beautiful defense there. Losing a Stalker or two to kill off the Medivacs, but then warping in a round of Zealots, and these Marines will do exactly 0 damage to the mineral line. Colossus coming in just in case it's required, but Rain is perfectly fine at the moment. The scouting factory is outside. No doubt the Stalkers are going to give it a little bit of chase. Extended thermal lance being started now. An additional 2 barracks going down for Nilon. So maybe he'll be going into, like you mentioned, a couple of Marauders a bit later on as he grabs his 3rd orbital command. And otherwise things stabilizing once again. But Rain picking off that double drop, that was huge. That's a lot of Marines and Medivacs to lose.
Yeah, there's a lot of little battles that have gone in Rain's favor here. He hasn't really taken any damage, didn't lose any probes, and he's going to choose to make his 3rd Nexus now. And you can see how Rain is playing reactively. He said, alright, I killed off your first Medivacs, I killed off roughly 20 or so Marines. The conditions are totally right for me to continue making Colossus. It was that moment where he decided to make a 2nd one. He didn't keep queuing them without end. That was the moment where he decided that he said, okay, your drops are over, now I can make more. Start my thermal lance, and because Rain is a player that always likes to just stay on one forge, he has the ability to have slightly more units out at stages in the game, to tech more flexibly.
We have more Vikings coming out now from Nilon, but interestingly only 1 at a time as it currently stands, despite the reactor being on that starport. So maybe he's just making sure he doesn't overcommit, because with the scouting factory he saw an awful lot of Stalkers. So perhaps he just wants to make sure that Rain isn't going for some sort of super gateway heavy composition and that he's overcommitted. But in reality, once he starts scouting that additional Colossi are now out on the field, I suspect he'll be using that starport again to its full capacity.
Observers are literally everywhere from Rain. Well, not literally, but practically. He's got a lot of observer coverage. He sees the Vikings being saved up here. Chooses to continue making Colossus because he already has Blink.
He spots it, and then 4 Vikings immediately getting put out. Thank you, Marine at Watchtower.
Yeah.
Nice stuff there coming out from Nilon. So a good reactive play. The supplies are currently 146 to 149. We see saturated 3rd bases coming out from both parties as it currently stands. What do the workers look like at this point in time? Let's take a quick look. 72 to 65, now going up to 68 for Rain. So things shaping up pretty well here going into the endgame.
Yeah, not a bad macro at all from Nilon here. Has been steadily cranking out supply depots. He's actually 10 supply ahead.
No Ghost Academy though.
Ghost Academy just got started. That is very, very late. Of course, Ghosts aren't going to be as good against Colossi as Vikings, but usually we do see Ghost Academies earlier. They're not just to take out or to nullify High Templars. they are very useful against every part of the Protoss army because of being able to take away those shields.
Well, at the beginning of an engagement, of course, you really want to be having EMPs with your army as soon as your Protoss opponent has charge on the Zealots, because they're the ones that are going to come in and really decimate your bio early on in an engagement, and if they don't have shields on them, they simply disappear twice as fast. And,
well, they only have 50 shields, so...
yeah, but you just eliminate them so early on in the engagement that you don't have to worry about kiting them back. And
it's very exponential, because for every Zealot that dies sooner, you're going to lose less units. They're going to get less hits in on your army, so it's so important,
works out
as you
so
said.
well. And now charge is actually already complete for Rain, but we only have Mobius Reactor halfway done for Nilon, which is probably the reason why he's not actually moving forward that quickly at the moment. He does actually have confirmation now that charge is complete after losing that unit at the Watchtower as well.
Now, there was this tiny moment where Nilon was 2-1 upgrades, as he still is, against 1-1. But this moment, 2-2 is about to finish. 5 seconds from now, Rain will have 2-2. And it's about the same time as he reaches 200 supply. So this is the perfect time here for him to attack, because he has the upgrade advantage. And he's starting to throw his weight around the map.
That's a huge difference as well. I mean, if he went from being one upgrade behind to being one upgrade in front in the process of about 20 seconds there. So Rain feeling a lot more confident, posturing himself in the center of the map there. It looks like we might have an engagement at some point soon. A scan goes down. Nilon deciding he can engage there, and the Vikings taking out the Colossi very quickly indeed. The Bio Army's a little bit split on the right-hand side, doing a good job there, but on the left, Rain completely decimating everything that was already there. The last Viking goes out, and there are still 2 Colossi out on the field. This is going to be very difficult for Nilon, as more medevac's now getting picked off as well.
Yeah, they're both plummeting in supply, but the real important factor is that Rain still has 2 Colossi, is using them to great effect, shooting at that army with impunity. Nice force field there, cutting off a lot of that army, and this looks like the last blow, the last nail in the coffin for Nilon. He was able to take down a lot of Colossi, but not enough. Now this orbital is going to be dying. Nilon finally gets his ghosts out, lands some EMPs, all the shield is gone, and I think Nilon will be able to clean this up with the support of his SCVs, but the losses he suffered were too much. Look at the minimap here. Rain looking like a veritable Zerg here, streaming units across the map in a big snake, and Nilon can't stem the tide of this Protoss army here.
Yeah, there's just no answer for the Colossi at the moment. Vikings are popping out in small numbers right now, but Rain continuing to infiltrate into the main base as well. And once you start capping out the production structures, it gets really difficult. Using some storms against the Vikings as well there, because I think Rain realizes he didn't warp in the Stalkers, but it's not going to matter at the end of the day. GG, and Rain